Well, to say that I am poleaxed, to say that I'm dizzy, to say that I'm basically speechless is a understatement by the State of the Union speech, and just everything setting in for me personally and my parents that I watched it with my wife and children last night. Because you've got the best of worlds, but you've also got the worst of it. The tale of two cities. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. We were all going straight to heaven. We were all going directly to hell. It was feast or famine. You are seeing such honesty, such directness, such true grit, such courage and delivery in 1 year. And then you've got the Democrats like howling lunatics frothing and uncloaking and saying, basically, don't criticize MS-13 or you're racist, or I don't want to hear about family and church. That's all gone. You're not going to have that anymore. And you realize that Bernie Sanders, who was one of the people that responded to this last night as a Democrat response, honeymooned in the Soviet Union in Moscow back in the 70s, when you had to basically be a Russian agent to even go there. I mean, it's just incredible. And then they turn around and say, we are the anti-Americans, when the country is just turbocharging back. It's so clear how bad they are. And, of course, most of Sanders' response cut out emblematically because socialism doesn't work except for the dirtbags that want to control everybody. So we're going to be getting back to that in a moment. But watching Trump's speech, and we're going to air large segments of it today, and in the fourth hour, right into the war room, we're going to re-air the whole thing. So coming up in the fourth hour into the war room that starts with Owen and others, we're going to just air the whole thing in pieces today because it's incredible. And the fight we've been through, and the battles we've been through, and the victories and the defeats and the blood, sweat, and tears, and then to have victory and to know the memos coming out. And Trump said he's going to 100% release it in the next few days, I think Monday at the latest. And it's just incredible that we're in the middle of this epic historical battle. And Trump's right when he said, this is the new American moment. This is like Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech that changed so many hearts and minds. It's like Washington crossing the Delaware and the next day having victory at Trenton, the first victory over the Hessians and the British troops. It's like the flag getting raised at Iwo Jima by the Marines. What it symbolizes is we're back. We understand who the enemy is. We understand who's showing all the race war garbage, who's injecting the poison, who's venomous, who's bad, who's been holding us down, who's been sending all our jobs to communist China as Democrat fat cats sitting over the slave factories. I mean, these people are bad news, and they've got a playbook. Van Jones doesn't believe a word he says. Gutierrez, when he heard USA, USA, ran out like it was a vampire and the sun had risen. Because he's funded by the Ford Foundation to come turn Hispanics into anti-American racist and then break the country up. That's the globalist plan, to steal the American dream from America that's 50% Hispanic already below the age of 25. And with another decade, it'll be 50% total. And if you look by year 2050, some projections are like 70%. You are having the birthright of free market and Second Amendment and all this stolen from you by people funded by the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, like Mr. Gutierrez, who is on record, and he wants everybody watching to know you can't say USA, USA. The Ninth Circuit wants you to know you can't have American flags on, because that's evil. You can't have a family. You can't have an identity. You can't have anything. And so why this was so powerful is that it shows we were being suppressed by design. 1 year in, things are turning around. The patient's getting better. And you've got these globalists trying to squat on America and suppress us. It is unparalleled. Trump's whole speech is about unity and nationalism and pride and families. And Gutierrez says it's explicitly racist. See, that's the inversion of reality. It's Gutierrez that's Mecha and La Raza. Do I have to tell people what La Raza and Mecha's slogans are? For those in the race, everything. For those outside the race, nothing. It's the same as the KKK. Now, let's continue here. You don't think people in the KKK think they're good. Well, these folks think they're good, too. They're brainwashed into it when they're born by these leftist families. They're sent to colleges that teach it because the man wants that taught at the colleges, because the big banks and the Ford Foundation, the Carnegie Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they're the big one now, fund those liberation theology studies. Bill Gates doesn't want Hispanics to be Americans and to have that birthright. He wants to steal it from you. But let me get to the big news here. It's on drudgereport.com. And illustrates everything that I am talking about here. And we'll put that article up on screen for me. MSNBC's Joy Reid triggered by Trump using the word family. Just like I remember 15 years ago, I couldn't believe it when I was given a Calhoun Reader from the University of Texas that all social workers were taught from. And it said, the family belongs to a bygone era, they even use the same term, and is prehistoric. They use that term as well, and must be eradicated. That's pure communism, like North Korea. Okay? That was the goal in 1984, was to break the families up. And then here she is, church, family, police, military, the national anthem, Trump trying to call on all tropes of the 1950s era. Yeah, passing the Civil Rights Act, all that. Defeating Hitler. The goal of his speech appears to be to force the normalization of Trump on the terms of the bygone era his supporters are nostalgic for. Church, family. Again, think of how wicked that is. And then here's Joy Reid. Let's play a clip of her. Last night responding, saying MS-13, only people that watch Fox News know what that is. No, if you're in Guatemala or Mexico or in all 50 states of this country, and you are in a Hispanic predominant area, in a poor area, you are being fed on and robbed, and your children are being recruited by absolutely crazed maniac death worshipers that worship the Grim Reaper, okay? And are responsible for over 150,000 people dead, a lot of those dead, in Mexico. But she just says it doesn't exist, and Gutierrez says it's racist. No. People with satanic tattoos all over them, running around murdering people, is a big problem. Producing methamphetamine, and again, almost all the people they prey on are other Hispanics, because they're underclass, they're being exploited by the Democratic Party and big Republican company owners, and they're this permanent underclass, and MS-13 is right there squatting on them, and here's this lady saying, oh, it's not an issue. Here she is.
The defining issue of the Trump administration thus far is how he got into office. It consumes Donald Trump's time. It is an obsession, if you believe all of the reporting in the Michael Wolff book, and even not beyond the Michael Wolff book. He spends his time complaining about the prosecutors who are investigating Russian interference, conspiring to fire them, thinking about them, obsessing about them. And then he gives a speech tonight in which he makes it sound like the biggest issue in the United States, the biggest threat is MS-13, a gang nobody that doesn't watch Fox News has ever heard of. So he makes it sound like they're the biggest.
We're going to break. That is the biggest Latin American gang operating in North America that has killed hundreds of thousands of people total.